No, it's there.
Governor Nichols Como. Just gonna cut the music early. Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here with my co-host
Tank.
Yeah. And we're here on the front lines of the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminadonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. How you doing, Tank?
Okay. A lot of crazy going on.
A lot of crazy. Yeah. It's just.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about this. About these. I don't have a report from Kim as of today. I don't have a report yet to know if the law system is fully operational. Although I expect to speak with them tomorrow, and I have informed Kim that it's ready to go and have my first meeting with them. So hopefully that yields some benefits. I suppose there's probably less sense of urgency, being that everything is shut down. Can't really buy anything anyways. So,
right.
We shall see. I do expect, if there's any darkness, sometimes, Kim goes silent, usually when she comes back up, it's groundbreaking. So we shall see what happens. Well, let's talk about New York and this potential, operation going on.
All right. Well, you want to go over that video I was telling you about?
Yeah, cool.
Okay, I'll share the screen with you right now. So this is from Q Patriot, right? And it's from the 29th. So it says New York, Comey, human traffickers, boom. So I'm going to play a little bit, but what it's really talking about is in the Q post, it talks about, some people called it a countdown because it said 90, 60, 30, right? As though it was a countdown. Others show it as a marker, right? Say it's a marker 90. There's some photos that came out that have the numbers 90, like just number 90.jpg, for example. So everyone knows that there's something coming up with this. And where did the boat Comfort dock? At dock number 90. So we'll let him talk a little bit, and we'll cover it.
And so this is a breaking boom, okay? And now I want to take you real quick, because what I did is I remembered New York City, right? And so I went to drop 3417 after I did a search for New York City. And this is from July 11th, 2019. And Q puts this out. How does LDR, Rothschilds, connect to the Bronfmans? This is Seagram 7's connections to Nixon, all these. Find the bridge, think company. How is Bronfman connected to Nixon? Go backwards. Who pleaded guilty? That was Allison Mack. When does a bird sing? Watch New York City, News Unlocks, 55, ? Q. So I went forward with this because I wanted to look into this. And so I'm going to take you here. I'm going to go off screen a little bit. I'm going to bring something in, okay? We're going to bring this guy in here. And you're going to see some things here in a second. And what I did is I said, okay, let's find the company. Well, guess what? The company is Rothman and Rothschild were acquired by NFP Corp, okay? Which is combined with Sontag Advisory, okay? So this is the company that Q is referencing here. Now, where is that company located? Well, by the way, here's Terminal 5, what everybody's talking about. Pier 90's right there where the Comfort is. There's the Chinese consulate. And where are they? They are right here. They're right in there. Right here. Sorry, they're right here. They're right here. Okay, so that's interesting, right? That's really interesting. And Q asks, where is the bridge? Now I'm going to go ahead and pull this back over here. We're going to bring that slide back in, that web browser back here in a few minutes. But I want to get into a few things here. Now, what is interesting about this is this. This Q says, where is the bridge? Well, by the way, the Lincoln Tunnel is right here. There's a bridge, right? So Q says, find the bridge, think company, okay? How does Rothschild connect to Rothmans? The bridge, okay, is this imaginary bridge right here, this connection to Terminal 5, the piers. Why? Terminal 5, 5th Ave, 5-5. 5-5 is the bridge, okay? Find the bridge, Terminal 5 and 5th Ave. What do we mean? We're connecting these two areas. How do you smuggle children, think Nixon, right, the handlers, how do you smuggle children in and out of a country? The piers, right? You bring them in and you smuggle them out. Okay, well, how do you get them from point A to point B? Well, what is also right here? Grand Central Station? Interesting. Interesting. 5th Ave, huge business district. Well, guess what? What is here? These are tunnels. This is Hell's Kitchen. There's massive underground abandoned subway tunnels, etc. under this whole area. The bridge. Now, we're going to take this deep, okay? We're going to take this real deep, okay? And let's just kind of flow with this here. Track 61, Grand Central Terminal, okay? Underground tunnels right underneath Grand Central Terminal. And this kind of goes through and shows you all the different tunnels, abandoned tunnel areas under New York City. And this is newyork.curb.com that's on. All right. And now, this is going to get very interesting here because this is Comey's tweet from March 27th. And this is enjoying Dickinson on Apple TV. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And the sweetest in the gale is heard. And sore must be the storm that could have bashed the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity. It asked a crumb of me. Hope, bird, perches in the soul, sings a tune without words. It gives information without saying words. Let's go back to here. When does a bird sing? Kind of interesting, right? And then what do we get from Comey? We get a whole bunch of series of cryptic, very cryptic tweets. We're going to get to those in a few seconds, but I wanted to go touch on kind of what Inevitable ET was talking about because we have the BDT bombing site here. So this was interesting. So I wanted to pull this into it. And when you get into the BDT bombing site, we get to the BDT marker, right? Do you believe in coincidences? Blunt and direct time, BDT. Think currency, think fireworks, thwarted, message delivered, these people are sick. Think about relevance. Think currency. We just ended the Fed with an initiation order that Trump took, okay? Think fireworks. What fireworks, right? Well, fireworks, we haven't seen them yet. But something was thwarted. What was thwarted? Message delivered, these people are sick. Okay, let's come back to the BDT in a second. Oh, this is going the wrong way. Okay. We're going to go false flags, POTUS 100% insulated, expect fireworks, justice. So these are the BDT markers. And I'm bringing this up because if we go back to Inevitable ET, he's talking about BDT bombing site, which was right there. And then we also have the DEFCON stringer. So what's interesting about DEFCON stringer, because where is it? DEFCON stringer and the BDT marker. But what's also
skip over to here
is USNS Comfort is pulling into New York City. What pier is it going to? It's going to Pier 90. This is weird, right? This is interesting. This is weird. And so we go back to mine right here, and Pier 90 is right there. But also, look at this. Look at this. The Clinton Foundation is right there. Jeffrey Epstein's apartment is right over here. What if we're looking at a massive, massive underground human trafficking ring? And these people are still underground, and we're looking at a cult that's living underground, a satanic cult that's living underground.
Yes.
Imagine a household member is who?
This is Comey's picture again.
One of the people being trapped.
Leaving
so
this tunnel.
What Comey's doing here, and we go back to that poem, right? And sings the tune without the words, right? And then we go back to, what is it, the DEFCON stringer? Codes, command, action. What is going on here? Comey's telling the bad guys in the tunnels and in all their homes in New York City, guess what? Comey just told them to get the human traffickers to get their victims out.
Okay, we'll leave it right there. So that was a pretty good video, I thought. So I encourage everyone to go and take a look. I'll go out, put the link there in our Telegram group. I'll put it at the bottom of this after we're done. So very interesting, that was being shown. What's going on underneath New York Central Park, all these massive tunnels. And at the same time today, X22 did a report, and he was giving out some information that it seemed like he was, which he doesn't do too much, really trying to out of put something out, this is maybe what's going on, right? It's like a prediction type of thing. So he's kind of subdued on predictions somewhat, on things that might be so far out there. But this I thought was interesting. He said, no one's using the ventilators, but we're full speed ahead in manufacturing them, and we're going to be manufacturing them by the hundreds of thousands, right? So we're gearing up, right? And this is, no matter what, with all with the people that are going to need it around the world. Trump said we're going to need ventilators, but not for COVID-19, not for the China virus. He's theorizing it's for the children that are underground, that are being kept, and that underground has less air problems, things like that. Half a billion, I think he said $500 million was spent in the military budget, for training military for underground warfare. So he's suggesting that we're going to see them bring out the children, and they're going to have severe problems, and they're going to need those ventilators. So I was just putting two and two together and saying, hey, underneath Central Park, they're going to bring out the children from there. This is going to be very dramatic, and very heart-wrenching. I mean, it's going to be, Trump said the next 2 weeks is going to be painful.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be painful. And it's not about the China virus.
Well, I'll tell you what I have some first-hand experiences that are, I would say my conclusion is that seem to support that. I know some time ago, we, working with Kim, I tried to transfer in $15 million was the first transfer that went through to UBS, and that was our first move. And there was a Rothschild-owned company that's is actually addressed right there at Central Park. That is referred to as, I want to say it's like Park Investments, something like that, or something like that. It's Rothschild-owned, and they siphoned off the 15 million. Then they instructed the Treasury to leave the portal open to the trust and to bring in $500 billion to give to the U.S. as payments for some debt they owed, right? And and Kim pulled all that money back, and they weren't able to do it. But so I know that the Rothschilds have a business of significant influence right there at the park. I'm sure they have several, to be honest, but that's one that I know of. And I can tell you that I have been to Elmhurst Hospital. I have also been, which is the epicenter of the pandemic. And I have been to Mount Sinai, which anybody who's familiar with the Bible, Mount Sinai is where
You don't
Moses
get
went
it,
to top
and you
of
can't
Mount
get
Sinai.
it if you keep the distance.
Sorry.
American spirit.
Just flip screens.
No problem.
Sorry.
So Mount Sinai is where Moses went to the top of Mount Sinai, and when he was there, he saw God walk by him and lay out the pattern of the tabernacle, right? Which essentially is like the ritual pattern of worship, right? So Mount Sinai Hospital here has been the next epicenter. They allegedly have 61 deaths and 200 people sick with the coronavirus. Now, this is down the street from my house. This is 4 blocks away from me. So I was all over that to check it out, and there was nothing of any significance there going on. But what I noticed is that in both hospitals, that they are loaded for bear, right? They've got all types of things set up outside, and anticipating a major event of some sort, right? And it would appear, that they're preparing for potentially mass vaccinations from the hospital, things of that nature, right? And so obviously they're preparing for some significant event, right? Now you also have in Central Park, they're setting up what looks just like a wartime triage unit, right? These long tents where people would be, not people that are contagious though, because the beds are closed and things like that, right? And then we did get a report on this ship that 25% of it was for triage, medical treatment, and the other 75% was more for military ops. So, which doesn't negate. I think that actually supports there being 1,000 beds there. But also, you can see in some of the pictures where they actually have like ventilators that are like shaped like animals, stuff like that for kids, right? So that would imply that. Now, I have some other intel that I can't verify, and I shouldn't be able to if it's real actually, because this would be but this must be either in operation right now, because I dealt with enough special ops folks to know that if there's a real special ops operation going on, you wouldn't know about it until it was done, right? So, or unless they want you to know about it, that's part of the plan. But I have heard that there is this whole thing is a rescue mission, right? And they're going in to rescue and take these kids out. Now, I want that to be true. I really hope it is. And they're basically saying that there'd be, that there's a massive underground operation. And that's coming from a, pretty covert source that, could, would potentially be right. So they were, and that's not that, but you got to think, President Trump,
Hello. Hello. Thanks.
Sorry.
Oh, no problem.
So you can see next.
Your volume is low.
This is hard, isn't it?
Your volume is low.
How about now?
Good.
Better?
It's good. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So so you think if the next 2 weeks is going to be hard, and that is revolving around a big reveal of some sort, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you essentially have to show people what's been going on. That would definitely do it, right? If you had a massive operation going in of that level. Now, you may have seen this before, right? Now, I have some firsthand accounts of this, right? Several, in fact, of people going into the hospital for diabetes, for the cardiovascular issues, right? And then, not coming out the next day and being told it's coronavirus, because now if I say it's coronavirus, it basically justifies, that person that you can't examine the body, right? And then, they disappear. And then I have, some other accounts of people. One person that died, they said they saw the face of the mother that died, and she had a black eye. And they were correlating this to, you may have seen, all types of stars and politicians and well-known people that suddenly show up with a black eye. Barack Obama, John McCain,
Bernie,
the head of Wells Fargo,
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie, right? So, now I've heard different things on this, right? One is that you could have some kind of adrenaline buildup and they extract it from the eye. Another one I heard is that they're having people go in and they're extracting their adrenochrome somehow from behind the eye. Excuse me. That's another version I heard. I also heard that some mothers are going in, giving birth to a child. Child gets taken, the baby, and they're saying that the baby died because of COVID-19. And because of that, the mother's not allowed to even examine the baby. Now, if you listen to us at all, you remember back when I said that Cuomo pushed through this infanticide bill, right, to legalize abortions up to 40 weeks, which is utterly absurd, right? There is no case where you wouldn't just allow the baby to be born at 40 weeks, or 38 weeks, 35 weeks, or 30 weeks, probably, where you wouldn't just allow the baby to live. But the scenario that my theory on this is that now if you have illegals and you have, New York being a sanctuary city / state, right? Because if you here, not only are you, can you be here in the city, but all over the state, like they basically get a license for no questions asked, right? So I know everybody wants to chalk that up to voting, but my personal experience with just talking to different people is, you come over here from another country, you don't have much money, right? You need to survive, and they say, get pregnant and let us have your baby. So you can have illegals here who are afraid to get shipped away, right? And you basically allow a woman to get pregnant, then you take the baby at whatever time, and take that baby and you harvest the adrenal glands and you harvest, whatever else they use from these babies, right? And use it for just that purpose, right? So that's what the theory is. What I was told is actually happening here in New York with these things. So it looks like the elderly population as well. They're targeting people to go to the hospital, and then they don't come out alive, and they're getting, I understand their adrenaline harvested as well, right? So that's a possibility of what could be going on. So it would be like some kind of battle, right? Now, Cuomo, I believe, he set that up in the infanticide so he could justify it, right? You have illegals here that, because of the rules you set up, they're legal, right? Like you can't mess with them.
Right.
Matter of fact, we have known criminals that have been re-released back out in the public just to commit crimes, and they get special treatment because they're illegal. And then you have, if a hospital or a doctor, even if they were caught, taking a baby at a newborn baby, all they would have to do is have the mother sign paperwork that says this is an abortion, right? And they can take the baby. They even justified in that law that non-medical organizations could do it, not even doctors, right? So you can imagine they could set up all types of fake clinics and all types of things just to harvest adrenal glands, right? Like really aggressive Planned Parenthood type things, right? To take organs, do whatever, and such a population of elites, so-called elites, that are addicted to this stuff. It makes sense that it was an economic move on Cuomo's part, if not, based on the double nipple ring and creepy weirdness from him, a personal fetish that he also wanted access to those type of things, right? So, so I don't know. I mean, a lot of stuff, it's a fact. I mean, it's just there's some conclusions that we're drawing out as well.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's
I've got that video.
So I can see that potentially being true. I can see it being true.
So if you want, we can take a look at that video you sent me of Cuomo. Let me go ahead and share the screen here.
Were there ventilators found in a storage facility, or something that the president is claiming that there were ventilators found that they need to be distributed? Is there any truth to that?
That is incorrect and grossly uninformed. The point is, we have ventilators.
Also, watch for his nipple piercings under his shirt.
In a stockpile, and we didn't send them to the hospitals yet. Of course we didn't. That's the whole point. The hospitals don't need them yet. The hospitals aren't at their apex. The hospitals have enough ventilators today, but the numbers are going up. We're planning for an apex, a high point in about 21 days. That's when we need the 30,000 ventilators, not today. Right now, we're putting them in a stockpile. So the point is, well, they're in a stockpile, you must not need them. It's just ignorant. Of course you don't need them today. You need them when you hit the climb, the apex, which is 30,000. We're not there yet. Where are the ventilators? Where are the gowns? Where's the PPE?
Look
Where are the
behind
masks?
you.
Where are they? It is a war. Well, then act like it's a war. And at the rate they are going, it is not happening. FEMA says we're sending 400 ventilators. Really? What am I going to do with 400 ventilators when I need 30,000? You pick the 26,000 people who are going to die because you only sent 400 ventilators. We have ventilators in a stockpile, and we didn't send them to the hospitals yet. Of course we didn't. That's the whole point. The hospitals don't need them yet. The hospitals aren't at their apex. The hospitals have enough ventilators today. We're planning for an apex, a high point in about 21 days. That's when we need the 30,000 ventilators, not today. Right now, we're putting them in a stockpile. What am I going to do with 400 ventilators when I need 30,000? When I need 30,000? When I need 30,000? Of course you don't need them today. You need them when you hit the climb, the apex, which is 30,000.
You guys want to say climax?
You pick the 26,000 people who are going to die. Of course you don't need them today. You need them when you hit the climb, the apex, which is 30,000. We're not there yet. We have ventilators in a stockpile, and we didn't send them to the hospitals yet. Of course we didn't. That's the whole point. The hospitals don't need them yet. The hospitals aren't at their apex. The hospitals have enough ventilators today. We're planning for an apex, a high point in about 21 days. That's when we need the 30,000 ventilators, not today. Right now, we're putting them in a stockpile. Where are the ventilators? Where are the gowns? Where's the PPEs? Where are the masks? Where are they?
Behind you. I don't know why he didn't want to say the word climax. Maybe.
Yeah. So
maybe for him that's
so
that's a climax for him.
Live. Yeah, you got Cuomo doing live briefings every single day. Every single day, right? He's the new darling of the media because he's clearly very dramatic, right? You can sit there and lie to your face in such a dramatic fashion.
Right.
And that's a great way to portray fear. And not only portray fear, but to portray yourself as a hero, right? A champion for the people.
Yeah.
And then, do nothing about it, right? He's busted in that. I just think it's, it's like 1 minute you're this, and the next minute you're admitting that you're stockpiling stuff. Like, which one is it?
Yeah. And it's obvious that there is something going on there. Trump pointed out there was one hospital normally get dealing with like 2,000 or 3,000 masks, right? And then they were sent 10,000, and then they asked for more and asked for more. They're up to 300,000 masks. So what are you going to be using all those masks for, right? So it seems like the same thing that happened in Puerto Rico, with these warehouses filled with supplies that never got distributed, and people are suffering. Right? It's just they're going to stockpile this, and then they're going to sell it and use it for their own pocketbook. It's just like a piggy bank. It's a slush fund for them.
Well, if you, this is basic supply and demand, right? If you eliminate or you reduce the supply available for something, and then you create a pandemic that, oh my gosh, we need this, it's so desperate. Yeah. Nobody can get it, right? Well, we know why they couldn't get it, because when people went to get it, the Rothschilds or the Black Sun, they had ordered these different corporations to stop delivering, right? So it made the appearance of scarcity, and everyone was scared, right?
Yeah.
So at this point, the coronavirus, this is absolute nonsense. It's a complete farce, right? They're portraying this, and then you have just enough stories, and it's amazing because these stories that go out right now, they caught on, right? They listen to social media, right? So people are like, does anybody know anybody that is dying from this? Does anybody know anybody who has the coronavirus, right?
Right.
Not to say that there's not people with it, but the coronavirus is very common. There's a patent on it from 2004, right? So they've known about it. So if you created the disease, you definitely have, a treatment, right? That's going to work. So you have this around now, but not only that, but they said that the flu vaccine they used this year was going to increase the chance of a positive ID for corona by 36%. Now that's pretty, it's a pretty serious, increase, right? It's like, so now, what's the first thing the CDC says if you're worried about getting, corona? What can you do to prevent it? The first thing they say on their website is get a flu shot.
Yeah.
It's like the flu shot is the biggest freaking scam out there right now, right?
Right.
Like
it's
there's
flu
more
shot.
people get killed from the flu shot than than the flu.
Keep in mind that a flu shot is a vaccine. It's a flu vaccine.
Right. They say a flu shot like it's not, but it's really it's a flu vaccine, right? Vaccine. Injecting live virus that they know. Last year, you were 6 times more likely to get the flu if you had the flu shot than you were if you didn't.
Yeah. I remember when I was working in a medical lab for Kaiser Permanente while I was going to college, and I was making I'm involved with doing all sorts of tests and things like that, and so they were suggesting, hey, get the flu shot, right? And they had it lined up there, and so I said, okay, right. I got the flu shot. What happened? I got sick. I said, well, this is stupid, right? And it came around again. They said, we got to get the flu shot. So that was like another year later. I got the flu shot again. I got sick again. I said, why in the world would I take this shot and get the flu? Right? And they said, well, you just caught one of the other strains, or this is now the flu shot helped you build your immunity, so it wasn't as bad as it would have been. Well, it was pretty bad. I had the flu before. I'm sorry, I'm not taking the flu shot anymore. So after that, since then, I never took any of these flu shots, and I rarely got the flu. So yeah, this is definitely a scam. They were doing something. And they'd say something. I think some of maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I remember they were saying something. Well, this flu shot will cover this strain and this strain. out of the 8 possible strains that'll be around you. So, you know, it's like, oh, and you catch one of them and say, well, it must have not been the right strain, so the flu shot must have still protected me. No, BS. Complete BS.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing is that's a pretty, it is scary. I don't even really like reporting on it, but at the same time, it's like, well, and I can't even say for an absolute assurity, what's exactly accurate. I can't,
sure.
All of this makes sense. There's potential for all of it, but what's real and what's not is, if that's where the things get iffy. Which, I don't personally appreciate, but I do understand that there's a level of, there's a level of operation going on here.
Right.
That's, certain information just can't be made known to the general public. Certainly not someone who, kind of broadcasting every night of the week, right? So
yeah, I think that there is obviously a flu going around, and that people catch it, and it may be just like in the Simpsons cartoon, right? It actually came in on delivered goods into your home, right? Because you ordered something and it got delivered from overseas, and they went in the box, right? And then you open the box, and all of a sudden now you've got it. Now you have it, but you're not sick, right? You're asymptomatic, fine. But you've spread it around. You spread it, but everyone, is not getting sick. It's only a certain segment of the population that gets sick. And who's likely to get sick is people that are older. When you're into your 70s and 80s, you're more likely to have a compromised immune system, and it will go ahead and make you sick. But then the question is, are you actually dying from it? And so, now there's numbers out there floating around that the death rate of this it's dropping. It's now as low as 0.72%, not 1%. Say a bad flu has, or 2 or 3 or 4 is what they were scaring people with, right? But now it's down to 0.7, and it's probably going to drop to 0.07, right?
Well, and that didn't stop the, animals in the media, right? Who ran a whole thing. I saw this on like every YouTube video. They were showing this video. It was like the Spanish flu of 1918, which is known as like the worst global pandemic of modern times, right? It was a terrifying time. And they're showing all this, and they said, but nothing compares to what's happening today. And like COVID-19, are you kidding me? How dare you even try to compare that? So they're trying to influence the way that people think about things, so that is what we create, right? Because think about it, you can make yourself break down. Fear has a known impact on your body, right? Stress, all these things that, from a very practical standpoint, you can see how these things are, heavily manipulative, right? And you're lying to me outright. And these media companies should be taking, these different television channels. They should be arrested. How dare you promote this blatant lie, right? How is it even remotely okay that you show live footage from Italy, in their emergency situation, their emergency room, and pass it off like it's Elmhurst Hospital? So we know you're lying, right? Like Dr. Colleen Smith on the 72 hours in the heart of the beast of the pandemic, and there's 5 ventilators there that aren't being used. Like they're still in plastic, right? And she's making it seem like there's not enough for everybody. Right. Like, how can you say that? You're obviously lying. We just saw 5 ventilators that you weren't even using. If this was a triage situation, the way she's portraying it, you would rush those to people. But it wasn't. Right. It just wasn't. Right? 400 people a day. It's her personal. That's her personal number. She's 400 people a day. So, all of this to me is
well,
from a military standpoint, to lock everybody down.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a purpose that serves, right?
Yes.
But then you don't know what part of the military is corrupted, right?
Right.
And working for the other side. You just don't know.
Yep. At this point, though, I think there's so much to show that QAnon has borne fruit. That they say trust the plan. They've predicted all of this stuff 2 years in advance. Everything you want to read day by day, read what was done 2 years ago and 1 year ago on the same day, and how it actually fits in with what's happening right now in the news. Now it all makes sense. Future proves past. So I can say that I believe that we're on a good path, and that no matter what the bad guys that are doing, and they're still trying to find them, right? They're still, shaking their cages and see who's going to run. Like is Comey going to run? I mean, it looks like it, right? Well, it's there are signs that things are moving, but we don't know because we can't get out. This is the time I really wish I had some drones, because I can look out over the distance and I see these fires burning, and it's like pretty unusual to see these big plumes of smoke, and it's almost on a daily basis that I see this. I can see pretty far. Probably,
you do have a great view there.
Yeah, it's like 50 miles I can see straight across, and it's all flat, covered with people, right? So, but these, it's every day. I see one right now, but it's much further out than I have been seeing. I've been seeing closer to where I'm at. So when no one's able to go out and go around, if no one's able to go out, what's going on over there? So, that's why I wish I had some drones.
Yeah, I actually, my theory about the 10 days of darkness has nothing to do with us being in darkness, mm-hmm. right? So you do have an agenda and a plan from the white hats that think that they're reinstating the republic, that are being led around by the Chinese elders. That group, now they do have a plan like that, right? Where they're going to shut everything down, and everybody's locked in their house, and then they broadcast to the public, PBS type stuff, right? Public service announcement, and it's an 8-hour loop of indoctrination, right? It tells you that we have bases on Mars, and we've been working with aliens for years. That's the what was supposed to have happened, right? Like in all this case, right? Now you have Now, I've been told that Project Bluebeam was destroyed. Everybody knows about it. It's already been shown out, right? But Kim did say that they have a plan for a fake alien invasion. And she said that they have something crazy planned for the 4th and 5th, right? So that would line up for Saturday and Sunday, I guess, right?
Okay.
So now that part did come from Kim. She didn't tell me anything else. Just Kim said the 4th and the 5th they have something crazy planned. That's all.
Okay.
But otherwise, so you can see that there could be all types of things going on right now. I'm very much about looking away from mainstream media at all.
Yep.
Because if they're telling you it is most definitely a lie.
Well,
at this point, there's no way.
I guess what you were saying that Kim said there was not going to be any 3 days of losing the internet and phone. That's wonderful, and I would more side with what Kim is saying, right? It's just
always.
Well, yeah, but I think like David Wilcox has information, right? And so someone's feeding him that intel that it's 3 days that the internet's going to go down in the 8-hour looped movie. And so he's in with that plan, right? He's in with that group, even though he may think, whatever you think about David or not, he thinks it's real, right? And this is what he's presenting as real. But I would say that it makes sense that we don't follow their plan. and that we don't that everything gets done in a different way where there's no fear, right? But Trump does say it's going to be a very difficult 2 weeks. Right? So
Yeah, and I.
Hello, Lisa.
I'm just popping on for just a moment to give you an update that I was asked to give you. One is Dr. Colleen Smith officially has the coronavirus that's been put on out to the public. I think it's on your thread, Dan. So
Okay.
That's one bit of news. And the other one is I was asked to tell you that, hold on, I'm just reading. The patient who we knew who died in Elmhurst was about to be put on a freezer truck, but a friend of the family who works in the hospital intervened and got a funeral director to come pick up the body. That's the only reason the family member was able to see the black eye. So I just was popping on to tell you that. That's it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. That's very good. Yeah.
So I'll pop off, but just wanted to give you that. I want to interrupt, so goodbye.
Bye, Lisa. Thank you. That's good. I like those kind of news updates. That's good. So,
Okay.
yeah. So Dr. Colleen Smith is a doctor who was featured in the latest article in the New York Times. 72 hours. For everybody out there who doesn't know. And then and that same hospital I went to, and I did speak to the wife of a fireman who told me that the only reason why there are trucks there for bodies is because they put the fear of God in the funeral home directors and basically told them, you got to be careful because the disease will stay alive in the bodies. You'll get it if you bring those to your funeral home. You'll be contaminated. So the funeral home directors, they don't want to pick up the bodies, so they won't. So now the numbers at the hospitals are normal. There's not an abnormal number of deaths.
Right.
At all. There's nothing abnormal. But now every death they're chalking it up to coronavirus.
Right.
They're treating it, and they're treating it very much like an operation that would be running as well, which I've seen many operations like we're like, okay, people, we're preparing for this, right? Like you're shooting a movie almost, which is exactly the impression I get from all this.
Well, this would be the question.
Everybody's out of dark.
This is the question to ask all the hospital directors. What's your normal rate of patients dying per day, and what is the difference between now and that normal rate?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this season, this was the end of January. There was already 10,000 people that had died from the flu, right? So that would be significantly more than the totals for the coronavirus here, significantly more, right? And in all likelihood, even the deaths from the coronavirus that they're claiming are a good portion of them. We know for a fact it was not the coronavirus. We know for a fact directly from doctors that the charts that they pronounced someone dead on, that they came in the next day and those charts had been changed to say that they died from the coronavirus. We know that for a fact. We know for a fact from families who have had people die from totally different reasons that they also chalk it up to coronavirus, right? So that is...
Hello. Forbidden information. I got forbidden information.
And yet... Right. Well, and then you have a flu, which I'm not even sure what the totals are. Okay, but the flu clearly is spread out much more. It's much more common, much more deadly. We've never ever shut down the whole country this way, or the whole world, over the flu, right? At least not in the past 100 years. So, what's going on here? What is it that they think is so deadly about the coronavirus? Well, nothing. They don't think anything's deadly about it. What they do know, though, I would speculate, right? They do know that they have a corona solution coming. And the solution allows them to introduce nanites into the bloodstream that will be very receptive to 5G. And they also probably recognize, like how many vaccines is it going to take, right? They're measuring out, like how many nanites do we have to put in these people so we can just control them, and tell them what to do.
Right.
And this this report out of NASA from like 2001 that talks about what will the world be like in 2025, and it maps out all of these horrible things, right?
Off and restart it.
Oh, weird.
All right, so yeah, so you can go back about a minute. As Rick Fisher push rewind.
So, sure. So I was talking about this document from NASA, right? That is, this document is basically, it's a PowerPoint presentation they did in 2001 at some convention. And in this, it's talking about the speculations of warfare of the future, or what the future will look like, right? And it's talking about like speculating as far as like 2000. Now in this, it's talking about torturing people, destroying infrastructure. It's talking about all types of unique weapons. And now one of the things, there's a list I actually here. I'm going to show you this list because I thought this was kind of scary when you saw how else it stacked up. But check this out. This list is really disturbing. Where is it? Okay. So this is what it's projecting, right? Oh, there we go. Oh, hey, Dan, I need you to enable me to share.
Oh.
But I can read it to you. It's okay. So this says
You can do it now.
worldwide impact. Okay, gotcha. Okay, you see that?
Yep. Well,
So worldwide impacts of ongoing IT, right?
Yep.
Revolution upon society. So telecommuting, we have. Teleshopping, we have. Tele-entertainment, we have. Teletravel, we have. Teleeducation, we have. Telemedicine, we have. Telecommerce, we have. Telepolitics.
That's
I don't
coming.
know.
They're
And then
they're talking about that right now.
Right. So every one of these things, right? Think of how they have been, completely taken over, right?
Right.
I mean, like that's the kind of thing that's just like crazy, right? And then, so their claim of what the world will be like in 2025, it's very much in play, right? Like they've done these things. The world is like that. It's like we can literally live an entire life sitting at a computer, right? And so that kind of stuff, they are still pushing that agenda, but there's obviously a contingency that's woken up and realized like we can't continue to do this, right? There's enough people that have woken up to realize like, wait, you guys are trying to kill us all?
Yeah, I don't like this plan.
See how that plays? It's amazing. This is absolutely amazing to me, right? So I've been diving in. Oh, by the way, like as a public service announcement, the assembly meeting for New York, the New York territory that we scheduled for tomorrow night, we are pushing that back a week, right? We're pushing that back a week because there was some things that we wanted to make sure, like we want to have proper, we have people nominated that we want to elect in the offices. And we realized we want to make sure that people have their information so they can look at it and vote properly, right? So people are prepared when they get that.
Right. Okay, got it.
So then,
And this is telepolitics.
yeah, exactly. We're doing telepolitics right now. You're right.
Yeah.
Holy cow, you're right. My gosh, that is weird. Yeah. So fascinating. So in talking to, I talked to a lot of different cultures, right? A lot of different people from around the world, right? All types of, from Canada to New Zealand, right? Like all types of different groups, right? And awesome. And it's amazing how they've divided us so effectively, right? So you have the corporations, the corporate structures have gone into the reservations, right? They've established their own government, which is pretty much acknowledged, right? Because we're used to, that's what official government looks like, right?
Right.
Then you have the traditional Iroquois, and and they're like we don't have any government is how they see it, right? And we're self-governing, right? They know the treaties and the laws, right? So we go to set up assembly, and we're trying to figure out, is it okay, is it lawful for us to have the Iroquois on the same council with, the rest of, the state? And because I really want them included, right? Because when something goes wrong, and they have a crime committed against them, they have to come to, the grand jury or the court system, right? So we're saying, look, man, we're just like you. Like, we're people, you're people, and this is a people's agreement. These original treaties, right? It's friends and allies, right? So if we have a common enemy, which essentially is this corporate structure that's trying to take away our freedom, right? Yeah. Like, we have a common enemy. And like, I had to go, we had like 4 meetings. We thought that everyone was on the same page. And they just kind of zoned out, right? Because they were kind of like, this is the way they were talking about assemblies and stuff. They heard that stuff, they're kind of like, those are white man issues. Like, those are white people problems. It's kind of like what they chalked it up to. So I had to call them, like, guys, I had to call them individuals.
You mean they said same old, same old?
Yeah, exactly. Same old, right? So I realized to talk to them, like, hey, there is something different here. We're people, just like your people. We're not talking about a corporate structure. We're not talking about making, that. We're talking about a governing body of the people that doesn't require any, additional filing or anything, right? It's the people. The vote is what makes it official. The opinion and the authenticity of it is what makes it real. And it was and if you look back, there was actual laws in place so that if we committed a crime against the Indians, they can try us. They can try us, right? They can punish us, and vice versa. If they commit a crime against on our land, like, we can punish them. Well, what happens when you have a separate entity that's committing crimes against both of us? You should have a collective committee because we both have common interests, right? We both have kids and land and family, and and then also you have the Iroquois. They come on to, they work on outside the reservation, right? And they have a driver's license. So it's really one culture. It's a unique, like, kind of nation within a nation.
Right.
So
they're parallel universes.
Yeah. But we got to navigate through that, right, to find a common ground, right? Yeah. But because they've been screwed over so many times, they're very gun shy about that, right?
Yeah.
Because it's about, like, they don't want, because the way the original, the Great Peace Agreement, right, exists, right, is that the sovereignty always lies with the people, right? But with European, model, the sovereignty lies with the elites. Now, look at how they changed this. For the most part, people here, they accept a shadow of freedom, right?
Right.
The word freedom, a remnant. Meanwhile, most people openly accept that there's an elite culture, a class, right, of the privileged. And they're the ones that run for Congress. They're the ones that have all these advantages.
And you have to be an attorney.
Right. And most people only aspire, just to have a normal life. Most people are like, if I can just get a good job in a house, and like, that's pretty much what most people aspire to. And they call that the American dream. It's like, what? Have we completely stopped imagining the amazing possibilities of, an infinite reality? Yeah. Like, now the American dream is to just be average. That's the dream. Are you kidding? Now that's a bill of goods that they've been trying to sell us forever. Garbage. Yeah. It's like, but yeah. So that's what I'm looking at with all this stuff. They want a docile, simplified, easily controlled mass population that they can use and turn us on to do whatever they want.
Right.
They need people to go into work mines. They want to just be able to click a button, send out a message, and we all go work the mines.
Right. Yeah, just like on Sim City or something, right? We got to just like adapt this little slider over here, and people just run over. If that worked, we got to build a bridge. Okay, turn the knob over here. They go run over there. Yep, and it's like, by the way, is a digital certificate for this vaccine. Doesn't that sound benign?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like just a digital certificate. Well, what does that mean? Well, why aren't they saying nanites? Little electronic things that will transmit information. You're going to put that inside me? Yeah, but it's just a digital certificate. in the vaccine that everybody gets at the same time because everyone's scared. Oh, gotta have it.
And I read this statement today, and I can't remember where it was. I can't remember who sent it to me. So I can't even reread it at the moment. But the statement was really, really intelligent. And it basically said that cultures aren't usually conquered by force, right? Usually what happens is there's the creation of a fear and of a threat. And the threat is real, but then it's hyperinflated. So it becomes much more terrifying. And because people are terrified, and when you are terrified that you are going to be hurt, that your family is going to be hurt, that there's an option between death or whatever else is on the table, you tend to take the other option, right?
Yeah.
So, just our survival instincts, I guess, right? So if everyone is being indoctrinated with this, BS about the coronavirus, right? Like this is the next phase of the end of mankind, right?
Yeah.
Which it's just ridiculous that it's that big a deal. Coronavirus has been around for a long time. Like, why is it suddenly, the global killer here, right? So what are they trying to do? They're trying to set the scene so that it's so terrifying, it's so bad that we all are willing to go get vaccines, because vaccines, we've all been told, are safe and effective. Even though
No
the
tests.
real laws on it say that they are unavoidably dangerous. And now for the record, we challenged that law. We have published it in Washington, D.C., and I'm telling you that is not a law. In fact, we say the opposite. They are avoidably they're not unavoidably dangerous. They're avoidably dangerous. We don't have to take them, right? We don't have to use them, right? And if you're creating a lie that completely blankets everyone, so everyone believes this is the truth, that is the real crime. That really makes, the media is so complicit in the murder of masses of people, because this, and actually the destruction of an entire culture, potentially, right?
Yeah.
If we're right. Now, you think you really have to speculate, well, obviously we're right. Bill Gates has come out publicly and said, I have a vaccine that you can use that will track the coronavirus. Then we'll all feel safe because we all know who has the vaccine. And he's promoting a travel ban that if you don't have that vaccine, so that they can track you, because they'll know. They'll go through customs and like alarm will go out, like, hey, you haven't had your vaccine.
Yeah.
Because they'll know, because the nanites won't notify them.
Right.
Right? So if that's the case, you won't be able to travel. Now, you have a constitutional right to travel. You can't tell me I can't travel, I can't walk around, I can't fly. But that's what he wants. That's what they want. I mean, and that would be the ultimate. Lisa was on this, months ago. She was saying one of the most important things we got to get after is the Department of Motor Vehicles and stuff, right? Because there's licenses now that say you can't get a license without being vaccinated. Like, I think in California you can't, right? And they're trying to stop people from traveling if they don't have a license that says that.
Yeah.
Now, that's a very dangerous thing.
Sure.
It's very dangerous.
Yeah. No, this is the time to really stand up and stop all this garbage.
Well, I think that we've gotten to a point where you can't just quietly play along anymore, because the fight's coming to you, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you listen to the White Hat plan, right? White Hats, now we were told this, right? That we were told it was important to have the assemblies in place, right? Because everything's about to go down.
Right.
They're going to take down all these corporate bodies, right? And the military is going to come to your door and find out, if you're willing to participate in the government, right? Of the People's Assembly kind of stuff, right? Well, let's think about that for a second. So what does it sound like? The military knocks at your door. They ask you, are you part of, are you with us or against us? Are you with the Republic or against us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you, are you hiding any Jews, right? I mean, Like that's what it is, right? It's Holocaust-ish, what you're talking about. And that's exactly what it would be. You have us all locked in our house so you know where we are.
Yeah.
Right. You vaccine the whole population. Now they know where you are, how you're responding, what your blood pressure is, if you're scared, if you're lying, right? Now you can imagine it wouldn't take much, and I'm sure this already exists, right? That they probably have military headgear like Iron Man, right? That while you're talking, there all these nanites in your body.
Right. They can see everything.
They can tell if you're lying, if you're covering something up, if you're stressed.
Right.
Right.
Oh, he's a terrorist. Take him away. No, just shoot him here.
And that would be the next level.
Oh, wait. No need to shoot. Just turn him off.
Yeah, turn this guy off, right? Exactly. I mean, just think about it. If they're examining all this on you, right, and they're looking at it, you're stressed out for any reason, and they have the feed out right there. Right? Now, it would not take much. I'm sure they would create protocols, right? They'd say, well, look, if you ask somebody this question and their blood pressure goes here, right, you can safely shoot that person because they are lying, right? So you can feel safe knowing that, right? It won't take long for something like that to exist if we allow that culture to go that way, right? And I can almost guarantee 100% that already exists. That's already well, I think that and the vendors are in the same place.
So when we saw some of the initial videos coming from Wuhan, China, right? We saw people that were just standing there, and then they just dropped, right? They just dropped, and people ran over, and the authorities came over. So if people just drop, they'd say, "Oh, they just have the coronavirus," right? So so if you were thinking the wrong thoughts, like, "Oh, we got to form an assembly and stop them from vaccinating people," you just drop. Oh, he had the coronavirus. Yeah, that's the level of hell that they were trying to create here.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, and they're I don't know. I don't think ultimately this will be successful, but there's losses. There's going to be losses. There's losses already. But I pray. I struggle with this idea of just waiting for anything that I don't know what is happening. Because if you look at right now I really hope there is an operation that is pulling kids out and saving some of these kids.
Yeah.
Stopping the behavior at very least, right? Because there's no way you're going to be able to save kids without, throwing other people in shackles, right? Like, so it would make sense, right? I think the 3 days of darkness or 10 days of darkness, I think that all has to do with, it's referencing, military being underground. Like you said, they were trained for underground missions, right?
Yeah.
So this is them being underground for 3 days in darkness, and it's darkness on many levels, right? It's darkness in the sense of you're under the ground, but it's also dark from the actual activities taking place.
Sure.
That's and then probably
dark as an evil. Dark as an evil.
Yeah. When they're taking out power and communications and internet, all those things that we've been hearing about, I think all of that has to do with the underground network, right? The underground infrastructure that exists. Now, imagine
we might put them in darkness for 3 days. That might make sense.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Because you can think they're hunkered down, anticipating an event, right? So you definitely have lots of these groups that are already in these deep underground military bases. And they're not just military bases, right? They're underground cities, right? They're massive. There's something very beautiful, luxury. Now imagine this whole underground infrastructure, right? Because we know there's highways that go, Jesse Ventura talked about the highways that go across the country. I talked to truck drivers that said, yes, all the truck drivers know that those exist.
Yeah.
Right? They know.
Yeah.
Because the truck drivers had to drive these massive underground tunnels.
Right.
Right? You have a Magnum rail that go underground as well. Right? We actually spoke to somebody her father actually helped build the underground Magnum rail that went from LA up to Idaho.
Yep.
Right? So you know that that's there. So I think all this talk that they're bringing to the surface, it's really because they're intercepting messages they don't understand and it refers to what's happening underground. The reason why it's going to be 7 or 3 or 10 days of darkness from this is because the military or whoever the operations team had to be prepared because they were going to take out their entire underground infrastructure power system, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means, the air vents. That means the actual power that's, supplying light and giving them access to the internet. Now imagine you go in, night goggles, all this stuff on, ready to go, and everything's darkness. There's no way to boot it back up for them, for the people that are down there that are just perverts and, kids that are in cages and, things like that. The military's got to go in there. That's an underground, 3 to 10 days of darkness, I guess. That's my theory.
Yeah. It makes sense. I think it's along those lines, and I think we're going to know within the next 2 weeks what's really happening. If not, by Easter. If if Trump wants everyone to go to church on Easter, there might be a reason why. So maybe he's thinking this is already done by then. And even though he's saying the end of April, that might just be misleading them, right? And it might happen it might be underway right now, today. No April Fools.
Well, you have, I do like the principle of Easter, the idea of resurrection, right?
Right.
Yeah, people often, there is a pattern that repeats over and over again in nature, in life,
Sure.
every day, right?
Yeah.
Death, burial, resurrection, ascension. Happens over and over.
And even in that, just if you ever study fractals and things like that, there's a pattern that you're seeing, and you're kind of like, it's a repeated pattern. You can see it again and again. It's repeating. But at a certain point, it all transforms, right? And then you have a whole new pattern that emerges, right? So it is in nature. It's how things are. It's just what it is. It's what the nature of things are. So we can not repeat the exact same pattern, but transform and into a much better pattern, which is, I think, definitely what we're all involved with here. And it's an amazing time, and we're here. I think it's a good place to break. We're an hour and 15 minutes. And we'll come back tomorrow, and appreciate you and everything that you've been doing, Tank. Thank you, and I look forward to the assembly. I would love to be there, and thanks everyone for joining us. And we'll be back tomorrow. Please subscribe. Please share. Let's get this out there. Let's get the likes up. Get a lot of likes. Just take the effort. Just do a little bit. And it helps us move forward. Thank you all.